Mr. Shi?
Here.
Mr. Errico?
Here.
Mrs. Ward?
Here.
Mr. Brescher?
Here.
Mr. Patel?
Here.
Mrs. Conway?
Here.
All present are Mrs. Maroney, Mrs. Peng, and Dr. Chen.
Opening statement. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the Edison Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted in the Board of Education administrative offices. Copies of these notices were sent to the Home News Tribune and Star Ledger on January 3rd and March 29th, 2019. The public may participate at regular meetings in accordance with the bylaws and the applicable state regulations. So today, we are going to first go to the closed session. So Dan?
Whereas Section 8 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Laws of 1975, permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting in certain circumstances, and whereas this public body is of the opinion that such circumstances presently exist, now therefore be resolved by the Board of Education of Township of Edison as follows. 1, the public shall be excluded from discussion of and action upon the herein specified subject matters. 2, the general nature of the subject matter to be discussed is as follows. Attorney-client privilege discussion regarding student matters, board policies, superintendent search, OPA request, litigation brought on by former employees, shared services agreement, township litigation, vendor contract appointment, construction litigation, ETEA grievances, PERC, and unfair labor practices, and personnel matters. And under personnel, we'll be discussing resignations and terminations, retirements, appointments, leaves of absences, changes of status, longevity, substitute staff, avid tutors, extended school year, summer school, coaching appointments, co-curricular appointments, and job descriptions. 3, it is anticipated at this time that the above stated subject matter shall be made public at such time as the need for non-disclosure no longer exists, and 4, this resolution shall take effect immediately.
Okay, thank you. Can I have a motion? Okay, Mr. Errico, second. Mrs. Conway?
Mrs. Conway?
Yes.
Mrs. Patel?
Yes.
Mr. Brescher?
Yes.
Mrs. Ward?
Yes.
Mr. Errico?
Yes.
Mr. Shi?
Yes.
Well, yes.
And Dr. Chen's
Dr.
here.
Chen just spoke.
Dr. Chen's here now.
Oh, okay. Dr. Chen?
Yes.
Yes, okay, great, thanks.
See, you were paying attention. All right, so we'll be back at 7 o'clock. So enjoy, go out and have lunch or dinner or whatever. Yeah. Okay, so now we're back. Can I have a motion to reconvene? Okay, Mr. Brescher, Mrs. Ward.
Dr. Chen?
Yes.
Mrs. Conway?
Yes.
Mr. Patel?
Yes.
Mr. Brescher?
Yes.
Mrs. Peng?
Yes.
Mrs. Maroney?
Yes.
Mrs. Ward?
Yes.
Mr. Errico?
Yes.
Mr. Shi?
Yes.
All present and all yes.
All right. So we have the meeting minutes for March 7th, 20th, and 25th. If any board members have questions on that, please contact Mr. Michaud. Now we move on. Superintendent's report, Mr. Sexton.
Thank you, Mr. G. I'd like to start off with a security report by our Director of School Safety and Security, Patrick Gassane. We'll update the board on district-wide security matters.
Thank you, Mr. Saxon. Good evening, board, ladies and gentlemen. I'd just like to catch everybody up to date and let you know what we are doing currently, what we've done, and what we plan on doing moving forward. I've met with our emergency services, the police and fire department, who have been a tremendous asset to me with some of our initiatives that we want to move forward with. And we're not only exploring issues with training and tactical measures, but also educational, and they're meeting with some of our other staff members who are present here tonight. Our school safety plans, the district-wide plans, as well as each individual building plans are being updated to ensure that we're meeting all the old state requirements, but particularly the new state requirements in regards to some new laws that have been passed. Some concerns have been raised by both some board members as well as some of the public that's contacted me have been the traffic flow in and around our schools, as well as visitor management and communications, particularly crisis communication plans. So we'll be looking to include those plans as we move forward to be included within our school safety plans. We'll also be creating a comprehensive parent reunification plan for every building and district-wide, and every employee in the district will have access to the plans as well as receive training in the plans. The new door locks that have been scheduled to be installed are all complete except for 2 buildings, which we put off until June. And there's some operational reasons why we put them off. We feel it'll be the best time for the building, and the locks that are currently there are operational, and the children are safe. So we plan on completing that in June. Along with our Chief of Technology, Ralph Barker, and also our Data Systems Manager, who's here tonight, Richard Benedict, we've explored and attended numerous demonstrations on various enhanced security measures and systems, which include access control systems, video management systems, school bus tracking systems, as well as emergency notification systems, and improving our current radio system, both in the individual buildings, the portable radios, as well as the radios on the buses. So normally, and when we talk about school safety, many people think about locks and video cameras and physical structures. But in addition to those typical physical security measures that you'd normally associate with making our schools safer, we're also looking at other measures which contribute to making schools, such as the climate and culture of each building. It's important to employ tactics, but we also want to support the emotional and social well-being of our children in the schools. We need to also maintain our continued focus on prevention efforts, in addition to the target hardening and response that we would normally employ in an emergency crisis. We already have some tools in place that assist us, such as our Stop It program, and as recommended by our own student council, actually, after myself, Mr. Saxton, and Ms. Gulick, Mrs. Gulick went to meetings with the student council. They recommended that we promote those programs more. So with Patrick McDonald, our videographer, we're going to use our own children and make infomercials, employing the children's own ideas in how to make and promote their own systems we have in place, which is, see something, say something, which is good for everybody in the community. And also, not only when they see something, say something, that we do something about it. So I like that, and they came up with some good ideas already. So we'll be able to use their acting with the theater department and promote these, which will be on the website and available to parents as well. So we're fortunate that we have such a talented videographer to help us with that. In addition to the physical security, we're also looking at enhancing our drug and alcohol prevention efforts, our vaping prevention efforts, as well as violence prevention, bullying prevention, or other destructive behaviors. And if you notice, I keep saying prevention, but also intervention, so that we can address these issues early. I'm happy to announce, with Mr. Saxon's blessing, and with the police involvement, we were invited to participate in a juvenile justice initiative through Rutgers, which would include our first assistant prosecutor from the prosecutor's office, and that includes a multidisciplinary approach to early intervention with the ultimate goal of keeping juveniles out of the criminal justice system for those children that might be getting in trouble young. The Edison Police actually already employ a program, a juvenile intervention program, to deal with alternatives to detention or diversion programs from complaints, which really is really a model for the rest of the state. So they actually already employ a program that's very effective, and one that I'm happy for us to be involved with. So with the Rutgers program, we're using that as a launching pad for another program that we're exploring, which is the creation of a behavioral threat assessment team within our district, who can provide support and service to children who are potentially in crisis, as well as support other staff and students if they feel they're unsafe. These teams, these type of teams, sometimes people call them crisis intervention teams, crisis response teams, but behavioral threat assessment teams are something that's recommended in almost every after-action report from every major incident in a school, other than Newtown, which in that case a behavioral threat assessment team wouldn't have assisted, but in all these other active shooter incidents that we see across the country, behavioral threat assessment teams are highly recommended. It's recommended in our own New Jersey School Security Task Force. The New Jersey Department of Education recommends it, and we certainly have the resources and the talent and the experience here within our own district, which we're very fortunate. And I've been all over the state that we have such a wealth of knowledge right in our own district. So we're happy to report that that this initiative with Rutgers will help give us a good foundation for promoting a behavioral threat assessment team so that we can help these children who may be in crisis. We've initiated new lockdown procedures that are held during non-traditional times, and I have to say that and for those of you that don't know me, I've been doing school safety my entire career for over 25 years. So I've been to a lot of school districts, I've done a lot of training across the entire state, but I have to commend all our staff, our principals, the students, our custodians, every single person that's been involved in my daily interaction with helping make our school safer. And it really does take all those employees. The teachers have been phenomenal. I've been invited to the safety and well-being committee meetings in all our schools, and I have to say that, that we have a staff that's very dedicated, and they're concerned not only with their own safety, but the safety of the students and the safety of their environment while they're in their building. So, so they've made my job a little easy because they really they buy into suggestions. They come up with great suggestions on their own. So I'm proud to report that to the board that we really have a tremendous staff. Not only the staff in administration, but everybody has been more than supportive for trying new things, particularly with the drills. Because ultimately what we want to do is have our staff be critical thinkers and have them impart that on their students to be critical thinkers, then potentially during a crisis that everybody's responding in the best interest of keeping everybody safe. And we've been successful, and they've communicated that with the parents when they do them. So when your parents, or when we do these new drills in the schools, you will be notified, so we're not going to do any surprise drills. There's nothing traumatic. We're not going to create stress or anxiety for your children, but we are going to make sure that they learn how to keep themselves safe. So then even these tactics can be employed if they're at church or in a mall or outside the school, so that it helps them stay safe not only in the building, but outside the building as well, which is what we all want, not only for ourselves, but everybody around us. Training is such an important component of school safety. So naturally, and training is a big part of my background. So we've already trained all the principals and vice principals in the new memorandum of agreement, which is 2019. There's been a lot of massive changes in the state memorandum of agreement, and it's really the goal of the memorandum of agreement is really to actually the same thing that we're looking to do is to prevent kids from getting into trouble. Prevention, intervention is really the key to this new MOA. So there is mandatory reporting that has to happen with principals to the police department, and so all your principals and vice principals have been trained in that already. This training will be extended. I've already had staff training in at least 2 of our schools on this, so every staff member will be trained in the new memorandum agreement as well, particularly the mandatory reporting. And that would include violence, threats of violence, potentially abused or neglected children, drugs, as well as bias incidents, bullying incidents that could rise to the level of crimes. So those are some of the things that we're making sure our staff knows to report when they see or hear these types of incidents. We've also developed a list of training. Our security officers are well trained already, but we've developed a list of training that will enhance or help them in their jobs be better first responders, better crisis responders, employ de-escalation techniques, as well as, believe it or not, customer service, because ultimately they're the first face that everybody sees when they come in, and they already do a tremendous job. So this is a list of training that we already developed, and we're going to make sure that this, from here to this summer, before next year, that we get everybody trained. The other thing that we've done that the district hasn't done yet is we're gonna. There's a lot of things going on in the state with bias incidents, bias crimes. So we want to make sure that all our bullying specialists in the entire district are trained in the new directive that our Attorney General just put out this week, as a matter of fact, as well as some very specific information in the state memorandum agreement as well that pertain directly to bullying investigations. And they're important because in every incident, we talk a lot about children in crisis, and we focus today, even myself, about helping children get better and prevent them from becoming victims. But sometimes in these incidents, there are truly victims. There are kids that are victimized. So we want to protect children at the same time and protect the rights of victims as well, and make sure that in this process that the ultimate goal is maybe to foster a better environment and a healing environment, and an environment that creates an opportunity for kids to move forward, even the kids that may have learned poor behavior such as bullying. So if anyone has any questions, I'd be more than willing to answer, but I wanted to thank you all. I did want to reiterate that even with the lock process, our facility managers, the custodians, John Morgan has been tremendous. Today I was with the police department. We did a complete perimeter audit and some other things that I wouldn't normally discuss publicly, but I could say we have an incredible police department. They're very committed. The Juvenile Bureau has been phenomenal. The fire marshals have come in. They've assisted our principals with coming up with alternative fire drills. They're going to be doing fire education through the health department. So we've had a lot of programs that I feel are meet the full, well-rounded goal of creating a safer school. Okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I just have a quick question. I just want to make sure that, our staff are well-trained for the active shooting, drills. So just make sure that, we
Yes,
get
sir.
that done, yeah.
Yes, sir. And our law enforcement police department will be included as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kassane. I can't begin to express our appreciation for the expertise that Mr. Kassane has brought to the district, and how quickly he has transitioned in with all the security personnel, and he has total support of all personnel. So thank you again. About a month and a half ago, Mr. Brescher and I met with a group of parents regarding vaping. And it was a group that was created by Mr. Brescher, and I got invited to that. Shortly thereafter, there was an advertisement in one of the educational magazines about a vape detector that you could put into the bathrooms. I was really excited about this, to go back to that group of parents and say, okay, we have an answer to the vaping that could occur at one of the high schools. But then I found out today in a conversation just briefly with Mr. Kassane that the vaping is really old news. They use Juuls now, and it's an undetectable. The old vaping, you would have a big puff of air like that, and you could detect it. This is not detectable. And it's a small thing like that, and they could sit there and, like this, you wouldn't even know it, you can't smell it. So now we have to wait for something that's going to detect that, Here we thought we had an answer, but it wasn't an answer. But anyway, Mr. Kassane, thank you. Online registration has been a long-time concern, and Mr. Shih has reminded me of that continuously. So our manager of enrollment and data systems is Mr. Benedict, and he's the one it falls on his shoulder to go ahead and implement this and get it working. So Richard is here this evening, will give us an update on that process. Richard?
Thank you, Mr. Saxon, members of the board. We launched our online registration system.
Do we have a clicker?
We launched the online registration system. Currently, it's available through the enrollment department page. And to streamline the process, what we've done is we've given you a how-to checklist of what you need before you start the process, and then kind of walk you through it. It's very straightforward. The beauty part about it is whatever browser you're using at home, whatever language you're using in, it'll translate to that language. So that's one of the key things that we had to address. Parents, when they go through the process, will enter in the student information, 1, 2, 3, whatever number of students, then their contact information. It'll guide you through the requirement pages, what you have to put in, but also provide options for you. As you get toward the end, you can then make an appointment. When the appointment's made, you can go ahead and submit it. As you submit it, you have an option of creating what's known as an online login. So if you got so far along in the process, decided to stop and go back, you can still create that online login, go back in, update the information, and then proceed forward. Once the appointment's been made, one of the members of my staff will reach out to the parents, walk them through exactly what they're going to need to bring with them just as they come in, and then when they get here, they're in and out in a matter of a few minutes. Everything is already done. It's in the system. We check them off, immunizations, down the line, and they're out the door. It's very straightforward, very simple. We've been piloting it along. We're ready to really launch it out there right now. We've had about 30-odd people who have gone ahead and tried it. What's interesting about it is it also acts as a quick filter. If you don't live in Edison, it's going to stop you right there, because we know that you're not in Edison, so obviously you can't register. It also prevents you, once you put the student's age in, if you're not age appropriate, it's going to stop you at that as well. So to an extent, it works as a little of a catch of a filter. We still get the information in, so from that point, staff can reach out to the parent and say your child's not qualified based upon the age, or when you actually move in, let us know, and then we can go ahead and we can bring you back up into the system and proceed forward. Okay? I'm going to take a couple of minutes. I'll just walk you through so you see how it functions. This is the page where you get the overview as to what's required, the requirements. You'll note that there are 2 different boxes here. This is primarily because of the medical. Students at a K-5 level have different medical requirements coming in than the 6 to 12. So we bifurcate those 2 packets. This way parents are clear as to what's there. When the parent actually completes this element of the paperwork that they would have to bring, everything is done, so there's no filling out the paperwork. If anybody's ever been in to enroll, you've got that 2-page piece of paper front to back with everything. You're filling out the same document if you have multiple children. This eliminates that. You fill it out once here, and then it proceeds through. So when you click in, gives you the brief overview, asks you to select this, and now if I come here, I can begin entering all the information. There's the little help boxes. Child is a special needs child. When you come in, please bring a copy of that. That helps to expedite the process coming through. I'll just show you here how the here you can say the student, you can proceed forward, and this is how it works as you're coming through the contacts, the appointments, the review and submit, and then log out. At any given time, you can go ahead and stop at that point. So that's the year. The appointments currently are set to go right to the last day of school. That's the current school year. Once we move beyond that, we'll recycle a whole other set of appointments, and it flows out.
Please just speak into the microphone so they can.
Yeah.
The appointments are currently set to go to the end of the year. Once the last day of school happens, we will then set the next block of dates to begin going into the next school year. At that point, parents are registering for the coming school year, but there's no anticipation of coming in. The point to note about that too is when you're registering for the next school year, the age is also flipped. So that's important. This is very convenient as well when you have parents who work a hectic schedule. Instead of somebody coming in, not having what they need at the time, when they come in, the appointment's already set, you're not taking off another day from work to come in, it's in and out and you're done. It's pretty straightforward. The people who come in already, they're in and out in a matter of minutes because everything was already there. And at the building level, the building is only getting the documents that they need for proof of residency and immunizations as far as they're vetting those to the nurse's office, and then the student is placed in the building. Any questions?
So the other piece, tied with this is, I've been asking is the annual verification, right? So we have people who move around, and also to double check they are actually Edison residents. So we spoke a little bit this morning. I know there's some technical issues here, but I hope that moving forward that will be resolved, so we can filter those students who, when at the time they register, they're Edison residents, and next school year they move out, we can catch them. So so that's part of this whole thing.
Correct.
Okay.
So at the beginning of the year, parents, well, basically, once we roll the system over for the next school year, parents will begin to be able to do all the forms that they normally have to do in advance of previously what we would do, but you'll also be asked to verify your contact information, your location, and stuff like that. And this will be a way for us to filter where people are at and identify if somebody is in town, not in town, even if you've moved from one location to another. It's important for us to be aware of that, because if anything ever happens where we need to get a hold of you and we go someplace that you aren't, it's going to be a problem. So this way, we're able to catch somebody who's not living in town, who has moved within town, moved any place with respect to their location, and if they're not here, remove them from their role. When we spoke earlier, to date, for this current year, we were ready to remove approximately 50 students who were found to not be in Edison itself. And this is an ongoing thing that we continually do this. We oversee, my department oversees about 600 to 650 investigations a year. So it's one of those things where when we find you, we get you out as quickly as possible. And when we can, when there's tuition involved and stuff like that, we go through Mr. Michaud's office to recover that as well. And that's the way yes, ma'am.
Just a quick question. You had said to verify their address. If someone were to put in 99 Netherwood Circle is where they live, would the system know that there is no such 99
Correct.
Netherwood Circle?
Correct. We have a street index that's approximately 1,260 streets in town. And it's broken down, it's available online for people who are moving in, they can determine where they're going to go. But at the same time, if you put in a wrong address, we already know if that address will exist or not within the town. Okay. And we've had that instance. We've had people who provided us with addresses that simply don't exist,
right.
Leases that simply don't exist. And at that point, ultimately, you're getting a phone call, I'm bringing you in, we're going to sit down, we're going to have a chat, and you're going to be given an opportunity to, explain yourself, and then you're processed out. It's that simple.
Is this information kind of rolled over to the transportation so that this can kind of work hand in hand?
Yes. Right now, through the Student Information System, the SIS, I send to the Transportation Department 5 times a day all new enrollments that come in. So any changes that take place, movements within the district, whether just in-district transfers, new enrollments coming in, transfers out, get sent over to them, so this way they can keep that updated as well.
UPS stores now allow their box holders to have street addresses. Now, we picked that up in the voting rolls, that people were registered to vote who had a box in the UPS, but it was the UPS address, and you can't sleep in a box, so it's, Now, what I want to know is, we have about 5 or 6 UPS stores in Edison. Do you have those addresses in your system that people can't register?
Residential based. If an address comes up, that type of an address, we do check. We've had a number of instances where people will come in and say, I've got a business here. Okay, that's wonderful, but that's a business. It's not your address. It's not where you sleep at night. Under state regulation, where you sleep at night for the majority of the school night is what constitutes residency for the purpose of attending free public education. And that's very clearly explained to them. So whether you want to operate a box out of your UPS store, or you want, I got this address, but I have a P.O. box, that's wonderful, but I still need a physical address, and that's what it comes down to. When you want to change that address to a P.O. box, because you prefer to get your mail there, and it does happen from time to time with people who are having issues in their complex, it's not a problem. I will still task an investigator to go knock on your door and make sure you're there.
Yeah, I guess that's also part of the verification system. The document you submit as a part of the registration process, your driver license and all of that, that needs to be verified, you know, I hope system, but sometimes human has to eyeball them.
And when we enter somebody into the system, what our system does is it automatically identifies anybody else who's at that address. So I will know very quickly, that's one of the reasons why when we started with the online.
Yes.
We were quickly able to draw correlations between individuals who were listed at multiple enrollments as emergency contacts. The address, if it's already in the system, will pop. So we'll know if we already have somebody at that address. And when they do come in for the appointment, that's when I'll come out and I'll just say to them, sitting down to speak with you simply because you threw a few flags, as I'd like to say. You know, you appeared on 3 different enrollments for multiple children or whatever as an emergency contact. And in addition to that, you know, we have multiple individuals at a single address. So it's not always going to be your address. We accept you if you're on an affidavit of residence, you're considered an affidavit student. However, you're going to have to still prove that. And anybody who is on an affidavit of residency within the town, you are randomly residency checked 3 times throughout the course of the school year. We don't make an appointment for it. We don't, you know, call you ahead or whatever. We first go to the location, we survey the area, then we'll knock on the door. If you're not there, we'll return it another time. If you haven't been there on 2 occasions, then we're going to come a little bit harder from the perspective that we'll start looking more at where you were previously. A lot of times someone will come in and they have never left where they were, but they're just trying to use that address. So that's when we make them aware of the fact that, in essence, you perjured yourself. Because you lied when you came in, because you signed the affidavit, which is a notarized document, it's a legal document. And when you attest that what you did, you also, when you come in to enroll, you sign a fraudulent statements act. You initial oath that you understand it's unlawful to use someone else's address for the purpose of attaining a free public education, and that resident is also liable. You also agree that you are in fact living there and the information that you're giving us is truthful. So on one document you were signing it initially in 3 locations. Then when you actually submit your information, it's the 4th time that you've submitted the information attesting to which you provided us as truthful. So that's really the end.
Yeah, so yeah, I think this is definitely a good move. In the past 3 or 4 years, we've been seeing the summertime lines, you know, went all the way to the parking lot. And last year was a little bit better. We you know, put people inside here, so that's helped. But if this online system will allow people to enter all these required information, all they need to do is bring, you know, 1 or 2 pieces of additional paperwork to come in. And if we schedule this appointment, we could get them in and out much quickly, and instead of having them, you know, wait, you know, hours and hours. But again, you know, this is online system, and we always encourage our parents not to wait till the last minute. Okay, the last minute is everyone's waiting till the last minute because we only have so much staff that can handle it in the last, you know, couple of days. And Dora can test that. She was the one who helping, you know, every year when it comes to enrollment. So. Looking forward to the improvements on the system, and hope that you know, will make the life much easier for the working parents to register their kids. And again, you know, the annual verification will definitely help to filter out the kids who do not belong to our school district. So thank you for all you have done, and I'm looking forward to this new system. And just one other thing, since you're here. In the past, in the summertime, we shut down the parent portal, and at the beginning of usually we open up 2 weeks before the school starts, and resetting the password and stuff, that's always a problem. A lot of feedback on that, and we spoke about, you know, how you're going to fix it. Can you share with the public how we're going to move forward this year to fix that problem?
Sure. Moving forward, we're not going to turn it off starting July 1. It'll be open all but a few days. We basically need to roll the student information system over. Doesn't take all that long, but there are a few things that have to be done. So expect about 2-3 days maximum. And what I would do is I would look to schedule it on a Friday, roll it over so that by Monday morning we can be back up in the play, so to speak. Parents won't be required to change their password. It'll still remain active. At the same time, we want to do it sooner, and when we do roll the system over, that's when all the forms are going to become available. They can go ahead and submit them, so you won't have that last-minute crunch of coming in to get them all done. Password's getting locked out. It's your password. It's going to be there. As of it right now, if you did knock your password out, say you disabled your account, it's a 15-minute lag, and the system is resetting you. So then you can go back in and you can request a temporary password to bring you back up. So this way you're not going to be out of the system all that often. During the course of the year, periodically, I will allow parents to update their phone numbers and email addresses and any sort of emergency contacts. It's from the perspective that you change your phone number, you change your email address, say your work numbers change, whatever it may be. Instead of having to do it just that one time a year, you'll be able to do it periodically during the course of the year and not have to worry about going through somebody else. We had a PDI training session for building support staff last week. I went over the online registration with them, already provided them with copies of the sample as to what it looks like, and went over that whole change as to how we're going to progress for the parents during the summer. And for the same thing with the teachers, so that this way we can close off a piece of it, but if they want a lesson plan, they want to do something else, whatever, they can do that during the summer as well, instead of having to wait for that last 2 week of crunch time and be under the gun, so to speak, to get it done.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Benedict,
Quick
thank-
question. Yeah. So, yeah, this would be a great relief for the parents. I just want to know about what time are they able to see the class assignments or the teacher?
That would be a building-based thing,
Okay.
because what they're really doing is during the summer, when they set the schedules up, get everything into play, they're doing the mass scheduling. The buildings get a schedule preset, and then during the summer, it's the balancing element of it. So we'll find out through the school use office and everything when they're actually ready as far as that to go. But even at that, that's just a matter of a flip of a switch. So everything else will be available to parents, the report cards, the transcripts, those forms, that kind of stuff. And then as soon as they're ready, we just flip it and it's there. You know, we can let them know in advance.
Okay.
But I would expect that it should be, it's gonna be sooner than what we would normally expect it to be.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any questions?
Mr. Benedict, thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's important to note that the online registration is only a small part of what Mr. Benedict does. He is really the backbone of our district in terms of all data operations, 17,000 students, 2,500 staff members, and it all falls in his lap, and he does an excellent job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our supervisor of physical education and health is here to give us an oversight in terms of what the current plans are regarding our cricket club. We affectionately refer to him as Mr. R.
Yes,
Hi, everyone.
Mr. R.
Good evening. My name is Argini Christofis. Thank you, Mr. Saxon. Thank you, board, and thank you to the public. Yeah, I'm happy to update you on our cricket committee. We met today. It's a combination of district leadership, athletic directors, curricular supervisors, cricket enthusiasts, parents, cricket coaches, and a U.S. cricket director. We discussed the current district offerings. By the way, anything that's happening at a building level right now, nothing's going to change there. It's going to be enhanced. We reviewed a needs assessment and exchanged questions to come up with a starting point in standardizing cricket instruction and extracurricular programming. So here's a summary of what the plan is for the upcoming school year, subject to board approval. So it's two parts. First is a commitment to cricket in the curriculum, a tongue twister. So our current curricular offerings, they're in the elementary school, it's in the middle school, and we're going to write it into the high school this summer. Our teachers need support to increase their level of expertise and provide instruction. So the committee recommends offering professional development, online resources, and age-appropriate equipment to all PE staff. Students will be introduced to the game, and teachers will present the curriculum more confidently. They do a great job already, but more PD can't hurt, and they are chomping at the bit to improve their craft. The second part of the plan is an intramural plan starting in the fall. All secondary schools will hold interest meetings this year or early fall. Certificated staff members will serve as advisors for a 4-week session. The legal run is a fall session from November 1st to the end of November. And if we feel like that session is successful, we can offer another mini session at the end of spring sports from May 15th to mid-June. By doing it on the off-season of sports, it provides several benefits. The field space is open for usage and will not have any conflicts with current sports scheduling. The best field space conducive for cricket play can be utilized. Students or staff that are involved with the current sports now have an opportunity to play or coach. And our staff and students will not have to walk to other fields off-site. Everything can be handled in-house, on-site, and we can use late busing to get people home. If there's inclement weather, the inside facilities are now open for practice as well. So any staff member interested in serving as an advisor will receive mentoring from local cricket expertise and professional development. Each session for 4 weeks will include an advisor meeting, weekly practices, and culminate with an exhibition game on a date to be determined. We are focusing our energy on a weekend date or maybe even Thanksgiving. Imagine Edison High School versus JP, a community event, everyone coming together to celebrate the hard work of the advisors and the students involved with this. This fall exhibition will be a sight to see, and it'll invoke interest for our youngest in the stands to look up to what could be for cricket when they get to high school. The committee is excited to get this program up and running for the fall, and I'll see you guys in the fields. Any questions?
Okay, thank you very much. So this is something that we've been, asking for a long time, and so glad to see that it comes to, we're actually doing it.
Yeah, happy to assist. Anything that gets people outside and playing, that's what PE is all about.
Yeah, and today we had the cricket committee meeting, and we all know the summer game of 2028 is coming to U.S. in L.A. So hope that we'll have some, I was told that cricket will be part of the sports in the summer game. I hope that we'll have some Edison players representing the Team U.S. and play in 2028. All right, so we'll rely on this program to move our kids forward on that.
Absolutely. It's a great start, great foundation.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. R., for your initiative.
Are there any other districts around us that have cricket?
That's part of the exploration process. I know a lot of the students are starting to reach out. Ms. McKean at JP Stevens held an interest meeting, and 60 students showed up at JP Stevens, and they have some friends in neighboring districts. I think we can get to a point where we could have some neighboring interscholastic, but we're not there yet. We want to build it small, get this program up and running, and then when other communities have it up and running, there could be future application for that.
Thank you for taking the initiative. The Freedom Award, our Board of Education has been nominated to receive the highest civilian award from the Department of Defense by the New Jersey Committee for Employer Support of the Guard and Reserve, and will be recognized May 22nd at Rowan College, where our district, among several other districts, will receive a very prestigious award. Appointment of our, the next item is the appointment of our broker of record. And that's the Alamo, who was responsible for employee health benefits and also our risk management policies.
Yeah, since we're on this topic, I just want to add some comments. I just want to give the public and the staff an update on where we are on this. So the annual process of renewing the insurance is the current insurance company by law has to give to the district 60 days before expiration of the new quote for the next school year. So our current insurance broker, insurance company, Cigna, gave the insurance broker the quote for the next year, okay? They provided 90 days before the expiration date. So we received the quote on the 4th or 5th of this month. So we are going out to the market. So we have reached out to, the insurance broker has reached out to 4 main players in the area on the health insurance. The requesting for RFP. The RFP was sent out on the 5th of this month. The due date for the competitors are coming on the 19th of this month, okay? And the process is once all the other insurance came in with their bid, there's one more courtesy bid to the current insurance carrier, okay? So it's probably another week after all the thing comes in and say, hey, you have another chance to bid on it, give us your best shot. So after that, then the district will be deciding on which insurance we'll be using to move forward. So it all depends on the timing. We might need a special meeting to select the insurance carrier for the next year, but we have to see how the progress goes. And this is the update. We're working on it. Our brokers are working very hard on this. We hope that we'll have a good result when it comes to after the 19th of this month. Okay, so just want to provide a status update. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, the next item is the revised calendar for the 2018-2019 school year. It reflects the snow days that had been taken, and also my recommendation to the board to make up the one snow day that we didn't use for Friday, May 24th, would be the unused snow day.
Yeah, I have a question on this. We know in the summertime we have some really hot days, right? Instead of pick a fixed on unused snow day, can we leave it as a floater, heat day, just in case when we have any hot days between whatever to the end of the school year, we can just use it for that. So it's just my suggestion.
Okay, I hadn't even think of the, what do you want to call it?
Heat
The
day.
floater, heat day?
Floater, yeah. Well,
I was looking at it more or less in terms of, it gives families the opportunity for that
weekend.
nice weekend, and if you're hot, go down to the beach.
I
You've
hope
got
that's
an
the
extra
hottest
day,
day.
well, enjoy it.
Also, I think the administration would be open that if we know it's gonna be a hot day, we would call an early dismissal, hopefully, before it gets too hot in the afternoon, so.
I think we have to be, and of course, this, I guess, what was it in, what day did we have an early dismissal because of the heat? There was one day.
We
that
had
did
one
that.
last
Yeah, one
year.
last year, yeah.
No, we are sensitive to that. We know it's really uncomfortable in the buildings.
Right.
Especially when the, weather really gets hot, so that will always be under consideration. The, which one am I on?
You're on the
National School Day, Nurse Day?
yeah. Next item.
Okay, that will be on Wednesday, May 8th, 2019. The entire Board of Education extends their gratitude and best wishes to all the nurses in our schools. School nurses perform an invaluable service for our children and their health needs, and have always been the first priority of the nurses' goal. So again, thank you very much. Student recognition will be given at the public meeting at, are we at JPS?
Edison High.
At Edison?
Yeah.
Okay. The high school, middle school, and elementary students are recognized for their outstanding efforts and accomplishments in the fine arts, reading, writing, math, basketball, ice hockey. Will be presented awards by their supervisors or the building principals at that meeting. So it would be nice for all of you to attend.
Yes.
Can I say something?
Yes. Go ahead.
Mr. Saxon, if you could, I know the student recognition is something that we've been doing for years, but I've been going to them for many, many years, and I was wondering if we could look into making it more a memorable, appreciative recognition, whether we have to do it more than 2 or 3 times a year. It would be more timely to appreciate the hard work of our students and their accomplishments. So I would really like to look into something.
You mean moving it closer to the event or the acknowledgement of the activity?
And show more appreciation than just their name, stand up, turn around. If we could
Okay.
have a display of maybe of what they have received over time, it would be something we need to look into, because I think
Okay.
that the students need a little more recognition than just their name at a meeting, especially since we invite them to come. I would like to see a little more appreciation for their hard work.
Okay. I've never experienced that here, but I certainly can appreciate the acknowledgement of that. We'll look into it. Okay, the revised grouping procedures, I guess we'll just skip over that. Oh, no. How foolish, you know. I honestly believe that the Constitution of the United States was written faster than the grouping process. I can't begin to extend my appreciation to Shannon, Peng, and also to Debbie. They have been beaten up. They have been accused of everything. Their phone bills are incredible. And I think that Shannon tried to change her phone number a couple times, but it didn't work. But seriously, they did an outstanding job. And for them to sustain that level of interest and effort is just a testimony to their commitment to the school district, and I personally wanted to thank both of them.
Yeah, I think the whole committee as well. You know, they work together. So, Mrs. Conway, Mrs. Maroney, and Dr. Chan, they're part of the Constitution writing group, I guess. So
I was going to throw in the Baskin Robbins, where they started off with vanilla and they ended up with 31 flavors after input. Okay.
So, yeah.
Is that posted now on the website?
After you approve it.
Okay. Do we have any other comments?
No, we just got the board just got this final version of the draft of the rubric. I just want to say, you know, the board's and the committee's goal has been very simple and clear from the beginning, that we want to keep the same number, same percentage of population for all levels of classes, honors, accelerated, academic. Oh, not clear? Yeah. So yeah, that goal has been simple and clear since beginning, and we have been trying to work really hard because, of course, the board doesn't have access to the students' test data or the marking peers' grades, but we have to rely on the administrators, and we do trust them to do an excellent job in designing a rubric, a grouping procedure that's going to achieve the board's goal of that. So we just got this, and the parents are, you know, welcome to take a look after the meeting, and you guys are welcome to give us the feedback. Thank you. And I want to thank Deborah for working very hard on this. This is a lot of work we have been doing together. Yeah, thanks.
Textbook approval. We're looking at approving text in biology, AP physics, middle school math, and the elementary language arts series is still under committee review. Field trip approval. Basically, we only have one field trip in its DECA, and the group is going to Florida for a competition, and their participation is always adjudicated. I'm sure they're going to be significantly successful, as they always are. It's a fantastic group. Field trip approval is the trip to Disneyland for that competition. Professional development activities. We have staff attending a variety of activities, most of which are conducted right within the state. Out-of-district placements.
Dr. Saxon, before we move on there.
Go ahead.
Couple questions. I know there's a state, I don't know if it's a statute or law, that you need approval if you spend any kind of money. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry about that. So I'm looking at two of them here. One's going back to 11/15/18, we're approving now, and one's going back close to a month ago. I mean, I thought these kind of, I mean, I know my district, you have to get prior 30 days approval. What happened here?
I think it's just a history update, a history correction.
So, but I'm saying these should have been on a previous agenda. Like the November one should have probably been on the October agenda, and I don't even know if you were here then, in October.
I was.
Okay.
My
And then,
aunt was here, but
yeah,
I
you were just
physically
beginning. And then this March 22nd one should have probably been on the February agenda. So I don't know if we're breaking any statutes or laws or
No.
anything.
No, we're not.
Okay, I just want to, what?
I just don't know how Lillian didn't pick up on that.
Yeah.
The board can always ratify actions after they've happened, particularly with conferences. Sometimes it's difficult to make agendas.
That's professional development.
Right.
Obviously, that a
Oh,
November
that's
date
what
should
you're
have been closer to the December meeting, which is typically when you approve those conferences.
Because, and just, and maybe the process is different here. I know in my district, we have to fill out a professional development form and get it approved by our supervisors or assistant superintendents or prior to even signing up for it and getting it paid. So I'm not sure if that happened here or not.
Sometimes things slip through the cracks.
Okay. All right. I was
So
just
we'll
wondering,
have to
because it was
correct
odd that I
that.
saw something back from November
Right.
18. Okay, thank you.
Okay, pupil services, out-of-district placements include a terminated placement, a change of a placement, and one administrative placement are identified in, on the report. That concludes the items I have.
Thank you very much, Mr. Saxon. Next up, Dan.
Okay. If you'll turn to your investment report, you'll see for the month of March, we received interest of $65,000.48. That brings our total for the year up to $337,248 in total interest. The next 6 pages is the board secretary's report for February, followed by the treasurer's school monies report for the same period of time. Then you'll see the resolutions that I'm recommending for approval on Monday night. The first one is we want to participate again with the coordinated transportation in Union County. We do right now use Somerset County, Middlesex County, and Essex. We'd like to add Union to it also to give us another option for transportation if we have problems getting some additional runs for some students. Number 2, we're going to pull number 2 off the agenda, which is the appointment of food service management company. We're still discussing that at this point in time, so we're going to take that off the agenda for Monday. Number 3, if you remember last month, we had the board approve the governmental energy audit, where the state's going to give us $100,000 to do an energy audit for all of our schools. We're looking for somebody with some expertise in that area, which is SSP, to actually file all of that documents that have to go out to that. And they gave us a proposal for $5,500 to do that. I'd like to have board approval for Monday night. Item number 4, we discussed the roofing projects yesterday at the finance meeting. However, because our long-range facilities plan does not include 3 of the 4 schools that we're anticipating to have these done during the summer, Edison High is in there, but however, Martin Luther King, Washington, and Woodbrook are not currently in our long-range plan, so we need to send an amendment to the state to amend our plan, which is not a big deal. It's just we just need board approval. And I also need board approval to send these 4 projects down to New Jersey DOE for approval prior to awarding the bids for these projects. So we'll do that after the board approves it on Monday night. Number 5, there's another national cooperative we'd like to join. It's called the National Cooperating Purchasing Alliance Program. And the reason for this is because right now we're buying filters for our HVAC units. Right now we're buying from Granger. Just for Stevens alone for the year, $26,000. I can buy him the same exact filter from these guys for $12,000. So it's going to save us a lot of money. It doesn't cost us anything to join, and it allows me to purchase off of the federal cooperative. So I'd like to have that done on Monday night also. Number 6, this is just a renewal from last year. We appointed Colonial Life as a voluntary life insurance option for our staff last year, and we only had it through June, so we'd like to renew that for next year. So that's what number 6 is for. Number 7 was some really good news I got from Mrs. Gulick a couple days ago that we are going to receive $20,000 from Amazon for 2 of our middle schools for their STEM program. Thomas Jefferson and Woodrow Wilson are going to get $10,000 each for the STEM program from Amazon, which is fantastic. Number 8 is the list of the non-public security aid monies that for a lot of the non-public schools in Edison. We just need to approve those in advance of having the POs cut. Number 9 is for the same thing, but for technology, non-public technology monies. Number 10 is a short list of some obsolete items we'd like to have declared obsolete. Number 11 is the bill list for the month of March in the amount of $19,913,292. I did supply each one of the board members with a copy of the bill list, and a few of you have already called me with a couple of questions. And anybody else has a question, just give me a call. I can hopefully answer them right off the top of my head. And number 12 is the transportation report for the month of April. There's 3 special ed Service Commission runs, and we're rescinding 1 additional for a displaced student. And that concludes my report, Mr. Shi.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Michaud. So, before we move on to the other items, there's one item which is not on the agenda, which I'd like to introduce as a resolution from the board. As some of the public, you are fully aware that recently the zoning board approved a 8-unit condo at the corner of Harding Avenue and Oak Tree Road. So I'd like to introduce a resolution, authorize our legal counsel to initiate, if appropriate, a lawsuit against the township, the zoning board, and other necessary parties. The district, we try to solve the overcrowding issue, and you know, we have relied on the township, on these boards, to hold their part of the bargain to help us. And seeing this, you know, single house being divided into multi-units, it's going out of control. So we are left with no choices but to go this route. So I'd like to have a motion to introduce a resolution for that. So do I have a second? Okay, Mr. Brescher is a second. So before we actually go on to that, I'd like to then to read that resolution to the public, and I'll open the comments to the public on that resolution only. If you have any comments on that resolution, please comment on that, and then we'll go out, call a vote on that resolution. Okay, so do I have, do you have the call to?
Oh, I first have to read it.
Read it first, okay.
Whereas the Edison Township Board of Education is faced with a serious issue of overcrowding in its schools, and whereas on March 26, 2019, the Zoning Board of Adjustment heard a new case, number Z36, 2018, from Markham Developers, 144 Harding Avenue in Edison, section 37.63-1, 51216, 3730-.2, and has indicated that it will approve a use and bulk variance to construct 8 multifamily residential units will contribute to the overcrowding issue. Now therefore be resolved that the district authorizes the law firm of Scorinci and Hollenbach LLC to file a legal challenge to any action of the Zoning Board of Adjustment with respect to its adoption of the resolution or other approval for a use and bulk variance for number Z36 2018, which shall contribute to the district's overcrowding.
Okay, so any board member, any comments if I open? Yes.
Oh, go ahead, Rich, go for it.
Yes.
I kind of anticipated, because we've been, yes, I anticipated this because we've been talking about this for a while. And I'd like to say that seconding this was kind of important to me, because as chair of the Finance and Facilities Committee, I can't tell you how much time that we spent over the last 18 months to evaluate and finding solutions for our overcrowding problem. And make no mistake about it, it really is a crisis at this point. If you go to any of our schools, you'll see our students, our teachers struggling due to the lack of space. It impacts the work environment for our teachers, and it impedes our students' ability to learn. And frankly, in creating a danger in the health and safety of our children. This crisis isn't only a Board of Education issue. This is not just a you issue or a me issue. This is an all of us issue. I dare the members of the zoning board to look into the eyes of our students who don't have room for music, who don't have room to eat in a cafeteria, who are forced to walk outside the school to get to classes because the hallways are too congested. I dare you to look into their eyes and tell them this is a school board issue and not a township issue. I dare the members of the zoning board to look into the eyes of our teachers who are forced to deal with class sizes of up to 30 students. Teachers who don't have rooms to prepare lessons, teachers who are forced to teach in hallways and makeshift classrooms, I dare you to look into their eyes and tell them that this school board issue is not a township issue. Tonight, we are sending a message to the township and its zoning board. This Board of Education represents the parents, the teachers, the residents, and most importantly, the students of this great town. We will stand up to the arbitrary approval process for multi-unit housing that stands at the root cause of the overcrowding crisis we have. If you work with us to find solutions, you'll find us stretching out our hands, waiting to be a partner with you. If you continue to ignore the overcrowding and act unilaterally in approving development projects on behalf of special interest groups and developers, we will speak up, and we will do what is in the power to stop you. Thank you.
After consulting with the attorney, I was part of this case going back to 2018, so I don't feel it would be appropriate for me to vote on this, so I'm going to abstain. My part was I was on the zoning board, heard this case, and actually voted against it, and it was reversed, and so now it's being heard again. So I know all too much about this case, and being part of it that voted against it, so it's not appropriate for me to vote yes on this resolution. I will abstain.
Any other? Yes.
When the demographer came and spoke about the status of our schools and the overcrowding, I cringed because you can see as fast as he talked about the overload of students, more and more development is taking place. And this is just another slap in the face. It's 8 units when we're also looking at multi-units going all over town. And I'm hoping that this will be a great way of saying to the township, we need to hold back and do something. Whereas when I've spoken to the planning board and to the zoning board about the problem that's going in town, and their response to me was, well, if we say no, they'll just bring us to court, so we'll have to do it anyway. But we need to get out the message that the public knows, look what's happening to our schools. We need to stand up for our children and give them the proper education by giving them enough room. And this is the way to do it. I'm all for it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other board members? All right, I just have a statement I like to make. Tonight, I'm introducing a resolution authorizing our legal counsel to initiate, if appropriate, a lawsuit against the township, Edison Zoning Board, and other necessary parties. The lawsuit is based on the latest approval by the Edison Zoning Board of a multi-unit housing at 144 Harding Avenue. It is the latest in a series of questionable approvals by the Edison Zoning Board, and very likely it will not be the last. Edison schools are overcrowded. This board is struggling for solutions to alleviate the overcrowding crisis and to implement a full-day kindergarten program. We are searching for dollars to expand our schools. We have taken a number of substantial steps for that. But we cannot solve the problem just by building and expanding our schools. We must also address the fundamental cause of the overcrowding crisis. As long as the root cause of the overcrowding is not addressed, we will never be able to build and expand enough schools. The arbitrary and capricious process by which multi-unit housing is being approved on what was previously zoned as a single-unit house exacerbates the overcrowding crisis, makes it more difficult to implement a full-day kindergarten program, and impairs the optimal function of our schools. I respectfully submit that the action of the Edison Zoning Board create a clear and present danger to the health and welfare of our children. Instead of working with the Board of Education to find solutions to the overcrowding crisis, the municipal administration and zoning board are engaging in conduct detrimental to our schools and staff. Many nights I have heard complaints from parents and taxpayers attending our meetings and at different gatherings about overdevelopment and its impact on our schools. For the most part, this board has, out of respect, deferred to the judgment of the municipal government. But that deference has its limits. If the township administration and zoning board will not act in a responsible way, if they base their decisions on flawed data and misguided information, then this board must act. We must step in and put an end to the unreasonable decisions by the zoning board. We cannot place the safety and health of our children in jeopardy. We have a duty to protect their well-being. Therefore, I'm humbly asking for the support of my colleagues on this board in support of this resolution. So now we open for public comments. Since we're going to vote on this resolution, we're open for public comments on this resolution only. So if you have any questions, yes. Yeah. Name and address.
Yeah.
Just this resolution.
Yeah, I got it. Prashant Joshi, 4 Utica Road. I'm very surprised and very happy, and it's a bold step you guys have taken, especially Jerry, you. This issue has been brought up multiple times, and I see a lot of boards are still there. If you go on Wood Avenue and Oak Tree Road, there is another board is coming up saying that there will be multi-store building will be coming. And I was going to bring up that topic here anyway today. So good you brought this down. I do not know just one lawsuit how much was done, but it's a message has to be sent. The question is, so I support it, and I'm pretty sure most of the Edison Township school-going kids' parents will support it. I'm pretty sure about that. Question is that has this been executed, something like this, under township? Any history anybody can share?
Oh,
Yeah, do you have
yes.
any other question?
No, that's it. Thank you.
There have been challenges like this in other districts and other townships. You know, they're not the easiest cases to win. It depends on the information that goes in at the hearing, but I'm not going to talk about our strategy or get into detail, but there have been other successful challenges to zoning board approvals for similar cases.
Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Brett Bigger, 140 Grandview Avenue. Glad I came to this meeting and not the Suez meeting. I just want to say thank you. You know, when the overcrowding committee met like a year and a half ago to start, I remember leaving that meeting feeling discouraged, let down, disappointed, and excited to see that we're sort of making motions and moves towards, you know, making a statement towards the people that are making money on the backs of our children and our teachers and our staff within these schools. I would just push, I think the language is a little bit softer. I wouldn't just name it the council. I'd name every single person. I wouldn't name just the zoning board. I would name every single person, because they're residents of this town. And just like every resident in this room cares about the kids, those people need to hear that they also need to care about the students. And I find it utterly appalling that a zoning board that represents the entire community of Edison would be fearful of a lawsuit from a builder in exchange for the 17,000+ students that attend our schools. And so to the extent that you all want to roll up your sleeves, I'm excited about this. I agree. I think it's the right move. But I think until we actually start naming the people that say the ridiculous things in this township by name and face, we're not going to make any moves, right? Like we can continue to say the zoning board and the township council and things like that, but until we name the people that say, that have the audacity to say, it is not a township issue, it is a board issue, it will just continue. And so I would just implore the board to consider actually going even more aggressive in naming the individuals that are actually directly involved. So thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Other public comments on this resolution?
Subodh Sharma, 63 Karen Place. So I just want to say thank you everybody for thinking about this and putting in motion, and so fully support.
Thank you. Any other public comments on this resolution? See none, then call it. Oh, do I still need a motion?
No,
Yeah, you made the
did.
motion, Mr. Brescher made the
So
second,
then,
okay.
does the board have to vote to add it to the agenda, or did they, and then vote on it?
Is that what the original motion was
No.
for, to add it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, then now we need a motion to approve it then.
Okay, so can I have a motion to approve this resolution? Okay, Dr. Chen, Mrs. Patel.
This is the motion to approve it, right?
Correct. Dr. Chen?
Yes.
Mrs. Conway?
Yes.
Mr. Patel?
Yes.
Mr. Brescher?
Yes.
Mrs. Peng?
Yes.
Mrs. Maroney?
Yes.
Mrs. Ward?
Yes.
Ms. Erico?
Abstain?
Mr. Shi?
Yes,
So carried.
so board in your court.
Yes.
All right, so now we open up for board member open discussions. Yes, Ms. Maroney.
I spent about an hour this morning writing down all of the teams from Edison that won state Odyssey of the Mind competitions. And instead of bringing that with me, I brought notes for a book review I'm writing. So I apologize for that, but I probably it would have taken me quite some time to read it to you. So I'm just going to tell you a story that my daughter and son-in-law imparted to me because my son-in-law had a team that qualified for states from Rutherford. And J.P. Stevens was the third-time defending world champ and one of the problems at Odyssey. And my daughter told me that there was such a line of people to see them compete last Saturday that people were turned away. She said it was the most incredible thing. There's like 1,700 seats, and people were turned away to see the J.P. Stevens team compete. The J.P. Stevens team's main competition in that particular problem was J.P. Stevens, and they came in first and second. So both teams are now going on to Worlds, as well as a myriad of other of our Odyssey of the Mind teams. What's particularly thrilling about the list of schools that are going on to Worlds is that we have elementary, middle, and high school teams that are qualifying. This is an amazing feat. We continue to do a stupendous job. Congratulations to the coaches who put in so much time, and I apologize again for not having the names of all the teams, but I urge you to go to the Odyssey of the Mind website. All you do, type in www, Odyssey of the Mind, and the state finals will come up. And we look forward to the World Championships, which I'm sure we're going to bring home a lot of trophies. So congrats to all of those students and their coaches.
Thank you. Any other board members?
Oh, go ahead.
Yes.
Oh, okay, give me this. Okay, on April 4th, Mrs. Blair was in charge of the math night at Lincoln School. 200 students, parents, and teachers participated in games using decks of cards to increase number sense with skills including place value, sequencing, and adding, measuring height to find out if they were rectangle or square, and mathematical observations about various math-related diagrams and illustrations. It was a very busy evening and a very happy event, and congratulations to Mrs. Blair and all the teachers at Lincoln School. On March 29th, the Edison Municipal Alliance presented its annual program, Hidden in Plain Sight, a hands-on interactive learning opportunity with DEA Special Agent Timothy McMahon, the prime speaker. His presentation highlighted signs and symptoms of alcohol and drug abuse for proactive parenting and was the most informative event on that topic I have ever attended. When they plan their next event, I encourage more parents to take part. The Edison Municipal Alliance is planning another event on vaping. You can look for both of these events for timely information, and I will try to let you know about it ahead of time. It was a really worthwhile event, and I go to a lot of things on drugs and alcohol, whatever, and I've been going to theirs as long as I've been in Edison Municipal Alliance, but this was the best. Agent McMahon was superb. And congratulations to Joe and the two students honored at the Lena Harris Foundation luncheon. It was a heartwarming event. I was going to say more about it, but I figured Beth would say more.
I'm tired of talking about Joey.
She forgot her notes.
She disappointed me. It was a wonderful event, and I would have more information about it, but it was a wonderful luncheon, and it was truly a pleasant way to spend your Saturday afternoon. The Middlesex County School Boards Association and the Association of School Administrators honored 4 outstanding Edison students at its annual dinner on March 26th. I go to this dinner every year. It is such a heartwarming event. Two students from every school in Middlesex County are invited to, the staff is invited to nominate 2 students from each school, and every year you hear what these students have accomplished despite all sorts of odds. It's wonderful. So Janaki Chandra and Vincent Chen from Edison High School, and Nicole Maney and Athilya Venkataswaran from J.P. Stevens were the honorees. So congratulations to the faculty, to the parents, and to the students. Everyone showed up. It was wonderful. Thank you very much, Mr. Shi.
Thank you.
And there's your
Mrs. Conway.
I thought Beth would have said it first, too, but Joseph Johnson has been coming to our board meetings for the last, I'd say, approximately a year, a former high school graduate of J.P. Stevens, and he took it upon himself to start the Lena Harris Foundation. And each month he would come to the board meeting and he would present it, and he would beg, borrow, and bribe anybody that would listen to him as to what his feelings were about mentoring high school students and helping them know more about how to transition after high school. And he was not going to let it go. And it actually came to fruition where they had meetings, they had mentors. The students that were chosen were not only interested, but they never gave up. It was a program that started with 9 students, and it stayed that number all the way to the end because that was the high level of interest. And last Saturday was the culminating luncheon where the students, the mentors, and the mentees were appreciated. And there was somebody from the town council, there were board members, there was the superintendent of Middlesex County was there. It was such an event, and I was just so proud of Joseph because he took it from just a small idea to what he did, and his parents were glistening because they were so happy at how he accomplished something great, and I'm only hoping wonderful things for him in the future. The second thing I'd like to talk about, and they will be honored on Monday night, is our FCCLA program in town. On March 26th, they had their state leadership conference down in Cherry Hill, and I had the chance to go down, and I actually judged one of the competitions. And it's amazing what these students are able to do. And the students from Edison are just so wonderful. And I was so excited because my My son was a state president 16 years ago, and they still had a picture of him, and we were hysterical at seeing it. But they are so educated and so well put. The different projects that they worked on were just so amazing. And the state officers that we have in this program are just phenomenal. That's why I'm asking that we truly see a little bit more of what these students accomplish, because it would just blow you away to see it, and it not just put a name to it, actually see what this group can accomplish. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Shi. A couple of positive things. I would like to thank Ken Taylor and Mr. Saxton and Jimmy Dekine and the maintenance people and field maintenance on getting the fields ready for baseball and softball.
Go ahead, please.
They were in rough shape. They needed a lot of work, and they got it done before the first game. So I'd like to thank our staff there, especially Ken Taylor and his staff. I'm still looking, I should have mentioned this to Mr. Kassane, is that we possibly, since now we have a better relationship with the police department and OEM, about bringing back, I know a resident or two brought up the DARE program, some kind of DARE program. I don't know if it's called DARE still.
It doesn't call it DARE anymore.
Yeah, it's called something different, but I think that would be something that Mr. Kassane spoke about with the new memorandum of agreement as far as interventions. This would be an intervention. So that'd be a great thing. Recently, my district has required the principal and nurse of each building to go for Narcan training. And I mentioned this to Mr. Saxton. He's going to look into that too. And at first I said to myself, I'm an elementary school principal, pre-K to 4. Hopefully I never have to Narcan a child. But what's been happening and in the training, what I found out is that the students are now grabbing stuff off their parents' counter, their bedroom, end table, the cabinets, the medicine cabinets, and bringing it to school and experimenting and not knowing what it is. So I think we need, as well as a district, to be prepared to be able to Narcan someone in case, someone has an overdose and we need to do that. So I'm glad we look into that.
All of our nurses are trained.
All our nurses are trained in Narcan?
Yes.
Do we have doses on hand? We do. Most schools. I think we should be having them all. So we'll look into that. So that's a good thing. What else did I have here? The Edison High School baseball field, on a sour note, is a disaster, as I showed Mr. Saxton some pictures. We tried to fix it. We fixed the mound, but we kind of caused some other damage. So right now, then, it's not playable, and they're using a local field at Edison Boys Baseball. Thank you to Mr. Calantoni, who's the president over there, to allow them to use it. So hopefully, while they're playing their games there, we could hopefully fix the field over the summer and get it ready for next year. Okay. And then lastly, bus issue again. Got a call the other day.
I thought we solved all the buses.
Yeah, I wish. Got a call the other day that the Edison High School girls softball team showed up to Monroe at 5:30 for a 4 o'clock game. And no one was given a reason why the bus showed up an hour and a half late. I know in talking to the baseball coach at Edison High, he's starting to schedule his games at 5, knowing he's going to be late. So I don't know if we need to schedule games later, or maybe we need to do private buses, Raritan Valley, I don't know, but we're not getting the buses from our own town, or, I think we contracted with someone outside Long Valley or whoever. But it's going to come to a point where the GMC is going to make a big issue of people showing up an hour and a half late to a game. Officials are there at 3:30. I know they're told to be there at least a half hour before. So now those officials waited 2 hours to start a game. And we need to find some way to solve that issue. Thank you.
Yeah, that's definitely a problem, and we need to look into where the, the misconnection is. Yes. Yeah.
Night games.
Yeah.
Do night games.
Yeah, so
Or
any
we can
other?
put lights up at the fields.
Any other board member comments? Yes.
Last Friday or so, me and Teresa, we went to the dance concert that they had at Edison High School, which was actually very nice because we spent money in building some dance rooms a couple of years ago, and the program has just expanded now, and the concert was actually very nice. I mean, I enjoyed it. You were there also, right?
Did you dance?
Can I add
I
to
did
that?
dance.
Oh, you did?
Yes, I'll let you add to it.
I'm sorry, I had another 3 items, and I had another 3 items to talk about, and I thought, well, before I get accused of increasing the global warming, I would hold off those 3 until Monday night's meeting. But one of them was the dance concert, and it was beautiful, and it was only about an hour and 15 minutes. It wasn't long, but it was good, and it was consistent. And what I'm going to ask the school district is to consider, this lady is a very talented teacher, and I am going to ask if we could some way combine dance with phys ed so that children, when they come out of high school, have at least 1 unit in social dancing. You know, they should be able to do the foxtrot and the waltz a little bit, and some, because eventually they go to business, and businesses have conferences, and they have meetings, and they have social events where if you can get up and dance, and if you put it in the phys ed department, there were 2 boys in there.
I think so.
So, you know, we need more boys in dance, and this would be a way to bring them into a dance program and also enhance the phys ed department. I'm going to put that, our secondary supervisor was here and the superintendent is here. I was going to suggest that Monday night, but here we go. Okay, because this lady is incredibly talented and she does wonders. This is only the 2nd year we've had a dance program, and it was really very well done. And she choreographed the high school musical Curtains. And the choreography in that was perfect. It was just so beautiful. Everything was just timed so beautifully. She's a very talented lady, and her talent should extend to more students. So I'm going to put in for a social dance in a unit in the phys ed department. That way we will get all our students at least 1 unit of dance before they leave school. There's more to it than just math and science and all the good things. There's a social life we have to look at, and music and dance is definitely part of our lives. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So if the social dance is going to open up to the board members, I'll be the first one to sign up.
Okay.
I'm horrible on dancing. So I just something real quick. Last Friday, the Lindenau had a career day. I met with Mrs. Worsley. I don't know if because I went in late. I didn't know if I missed any other board members. There were a lot of people there from all walks of life. They share their experiences with the the kids in the Lindenau school. You have from a chef to a furniture salesman and to a nutritionist. And the problem is I went to the nutrition seminar, and after I listened to it, I don't know what I'm going to eat. But anyways, that was a really good program. The most popular was definitely the chef, because he brought a lot of cookies. So the kids really loved that. Can I have another piece? Can I have another piece? So that's right. So I also like to thank all the speakers who came to the school to talk to the kids. So it was a great event, and I see more activities going on in the Lindenau schools to help those kids. Thank you. Any other board member comments? All right, see none, so we open up for public comments. So, yes, go ahead.
Carol Podofsky, 39 Jonathan Drive. Thank you, Mr. Shi and Board of Ed members, for your resolution to the Planning Board concerning the approval of replacing a single home on Harding Avenue with multiple units. I thank you on behalf of all the students at our schools who suffer from the increasing overcrowding in their schools. Having attended the zoning board meetings about this, I'd like to let you know that there are many local residents who have been following this, complaining about this, attending the meetings, trying to stand up for our schools. It's not just the people you see here or the people on the board. They care, as we all do, and I'm sure they will appreciate your vote today also. And I definitely agree with Mrs. Conway about our FCCLA students and their accomplishments at the State Leadership Conference. I wish them much success at nationals, and to all of our different groups like Model UN, OM, the different groups that our district has, who go on and achieve great things, where other students from other schools that maybe aren't as overcrowding, maybe are second place to them. So we've got great kids, and they're really accomplishing a lot. And just two other things. I was very happy to see that you were recommending honoring National School Nurse Day in the agendas. School nurses were first assigned to public school staffs to stop the spread of communicable diseases where large numbers of children work and play together in close quarters every day. They also had a responsibility to ensure that children had the strength needed for learning in a school setting, such as adequate vision and hearing, good nutrition, to name a few. Over the years, the role has expanded to include so much more. Certified school nurses are where nursing and education meet. The advanced education required to become certified as a school nurse blends the professions of nursing and education and ensures that CSNs are highly qualified to suggest and make accommodations to the learning process based on the children's health and learning needs. As a nursing specialty, CSNs are trained to educate school personnel to understand student health concerns and to help make the school environment more medically friendly. Certified school nurses keep students in school and learning. We have many excellent, caring, and professional school nurses right here in the Edison schools. We need many school nurses because we have so many children in our overcrowded schools. As of 2006, the New Jersey State Legislature mandated that there should be one school nurse for 750 general ed students. One school nurse for every 250 students who have special needs and are in general education classrooms, and one for 125 students in self-contained special education classes. Our school nurses serve two roles, both healthcare providers and educators every day. They are our first responders in so many situations and are often unique in their buildings. Like Tigger, they are the only ones. So heartfelt thanks to all of our school nurses today and every day. And I missed a newly created job at the February meeting, but I was very excited to see this weekend posted. Creating the position of Supervisor of 21st Century Skills is very timely and appropriate. Keeping up with FCCLA and my daughters at the Rutgers Career Equity Resource Center, I have developed a lot more interest in this area than you might expect from an elementary reading specialist. I'm not looking for a job, believe me, so don't get worried. When I judge at New Jersey FCCLA events and I listen to my daughter, I realize how important and challenging the coursework is in business, computer science, technology, education, family and consumer sciences, and media can be to the future of our students. I also recognize what a challenging and also vital role this will be to the future of our students and our district. I especially like bullet 3 under qualifications. Demonstrates organizational, communication, leadership, analytical, and interpersonal skills. Although this is key for any good supervisor, it is especially important when working with these 21st century skills. It also shows me that you are looking for a 21st century supervisor in addition to a supervisor of 21st century skills. I also like that the supervisor will also serve as the district director for career and technical education, which makes it really important to be a 12-month position since many CTSO, career and technical student organization events take place during the summer. I would like to encourage the Board of Ed to also consider providing financial support to these career and technical organizations because they really make a difference in preparing the children for the workforce. I recognize the importance that these networking, leadership, learning, and competitive events play in preparing them to succeed in future careers. But I commend the Board of Ed for taking this step forward into the century that we're, this is scary, almost 20% through. Thank you on behalf of future Edison students.
Thank you. Yes.
So Carol, thank you for bringing up the importance of our school nurses. And I was going to bring this up in conjunction with School Nursing Day, and then I was reminded that it's in May, not April. But I'm going to share it since you brought it up. In the month of March, our nurses from collectively from the schools had 11,825 student health office visits. Yes, 11,825 visits in the month of March. Of those, 1,232 students were sent home from school. And then the next largest number on this chart was medical illness care, 7,678 children. And another big number, blood pressure screening, 1,497. And this is a chart that is the collective monthly chart for all of the things that the nurses do in their very, very busy schedules. And I agree, we're vastly understaffed with nurses, with buildings of over 1,000 children and one nurse. We're vastly understaffed. We need to take a look at that.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
Prashant Joshi for Utica Road. First, I want to thanks for the changes made on the parent portal and that annual check. It will really help us. That's a good, thank you very much. Next question is one of the key items I came for, actually. I'm coming here almost like this is the fourth meeting. I never came so many times. To be honest about that, is the placement criteria. So is the board has approved it or they are going to approve it? I didn't get it what happened exactly. That's the first question.
Next Monday.
Monday. So you're going to publish it and then Monday you will going to vote for it. Okay. That's the case. Then I don't have anything else to say because I haven't seen it. Unless until I see, it's very difficult to comment on it. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a proposed grouping schedule, yeah. So, any other public comments?
Subodh Sharma, 63 Karen Place. So before commenting on the grouping procedure, I would like to thank Mr. Errico for highlighting the bus schedule issue. Being a parent of a middle schooler in the softball team, my daughter, so I can understand like the bus delays that they're experiencing, or even like say the school goes, the school is closing at around 3 o'clock and the bus is coming at 4 o'clock. Even for the schedule, it's not even delays, they're scheduling it for 4 o'clock. I mean, the longer kids are playing, I think it's good for them, but the longer they are away from their home and their homework and the exams and grades and everything, whatnot. And I can imagine, like you're saying, 5:30 they reach to the game. For high school students who are already having so much pressure, so I think this should be addressed. Okay. Coming back to the grouping criteria, obviously we don't know what the new criteria is. I don't know how changed it is from the one that was posted. Is it harder or whatever? But I would like to propose something that at least, I mean, this has been repeated so many times, PSET exam. We understand it's a standardized test, but it was not, there was not much, we were caught off guard, and we like the test. Are there any opportunities for the kids of this batch to take this test again? Normally, PSETs and everything, kids get in SATs. They get multiple attempts, but can they get another attempt? That's one question. Other thing I would like to also say, if cannot be done for this year, it should be allowed for kids of this batch to take it next year when they move from 9th to 10th grade, so that they have at least another path to go to honors courses and have that as part of this, because most of the accelerated kids who were in middle school, 8th grade, they didn't had the curriculum that was covered part of PSET 8-9. That's called PSET 8-9. It has 9th grade for our accelerated students. It has geometry, which is going to be taught in 9th grade, and we are expecting these students to learn geometry and excel in PSET in 8th grade, and that too it happened in like October and November. I mean, what are we trying to do here? I just want to understand from everybody, what are we trying to do here? Okay. I don't know if somebody can respond about that. The last point I want to say that we are also making benchmarks part of the criteria. That's good, but apart from PSET, so it's giving other opportunities to kids. That's good, but I want to highlight that the benchmarks that there's some of the benchmarks they're taking, there are only 5 questions, right? Or 6 questions. If one of them is wrong, you have 75%. So we are setting the kids for failure because they cannot get, and the benchmark threshold in the last rubric was A-, which is 90%. So if a child may say one question out of 5 or 6, they are already on 65, 75%. So are we trying to say that you make a minutest mistake and you can't qualify for this? I'm just, it's mind-numbing that why are we trying to do this for the exams, which we know, which is district-wide, can be more standardized, can adopt some standardization, right? Not have open-ended questions, especially for the benchmarks, because this benchmarks is double counted. Remember, it's part of your grade, and it is counted for your criteria. So you're double counting something, and it seems like, I don't know, this is being done deliberately or for whatever reason, but I can't find any reasonable way that we are trying to promote kids for success, or we are trying to find mistakes or the opportunities so that they can make one mistake and we can rule them out.
Thank you for your input.
Any other public comments? Yes. Wait. Do we have,
Any first-timers?
Yeah, any first-timers? Yes.
Good evening, Pallavika Badi, 113 Christie Street. I'm just going to talk about a new condition that we saw on the criteria. If a child has C+ in one marking period, then they will not be placed into honors. My first question is, does this apply to kids who are already in honors, or is it for new kids getting into honors? Can anyone answer that?
Well, yeah, answer that, we'll respond in the other
Okay,
questions.
so I'm just going to go ahead and say, if the admin has already set the cutoff to move kids into any level as A or A minus as the cumulative average grade, why the Edison Public School Board is adopting an additional policy of judging academic advancement of a child based on the performance of a single marking period. There may be many reasons why a child may not perform in one marking period. Maybe they're sick, there's some bigger real life issue going on that needs to be sorted out, or something as simple as adjusting into a new class with new teacher expectations. But if a child stumbles and is able to pick himself up and has an upward growth curve and makes the criteria at the end of the year, what sense does it make to hold this child back? Limiting academic growth based on one marking period will put tremendous pressure on the student. A student who has 75 in one test or one quiz will worry excessively about because of the small turnaround window. This is a complete pressure cooker environment, and surely the responsibility of creating this high pressure on students lies solely on the policies adopted by the district and not on the parents. If performance of working adults was evaluated based on one quarter, most of us would be jobless. Lastly, I would like to remind the board, as an analogy, and I like analogies, this board made a decision last year to hold off paying out bonuses to individuals in the district in the middle of the year. The board chose to wait and evaluate performance over the entire year because I think that would be morally and ethically correct to do. So we asked to apply the same morals and ethics to the most vulnerable in this district, our kids. Don't pressurize the kids by charting their entire academic course based on one marking period. Let's understand that it's hard to please everybody, but I'm please asking that let's look at the entire year and then evaluate them and give them a chance to move up if they meet the criteria set by the administration. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, you want to?
My question?
There's a question, yes.
Do you want me to wait till all the time?
No, once you answer, maybe I don't want them to repeat the same question.
One question.
Yeah. Let's see.
This is the C
Yeah.
plus.
I think we're up to 33 flavors.
Are you able to make it now? or do
Deborah,
you-
I think I think that applies to all the existing.
Deborah, are you able to answer now, or would you like?
I am able to answer now, Mr. Rivera.
I didn't read the book.
So we posted the grouping procedures as Mr. Shi requested, and in fact asked at the meeting to tell us what you want, and as we went, the response is we cannot reach consensus on what people want. So we took feedback, we collected feedback, we received feedback from 300 parents in addition to probably the 100 emails I received, and Mrs. Peng probably had another 100 phone calls and emails as well. We've all been copied on most of them. And you will see in those emails, board members, there is conflicting information about what success looks like for our students. Please know that we're all on the same page, and that is to provide the most rigorous experience possible for our students. And if we're going to have leveled classes, to make sure that level is appropriate for the students who are in that room. The most vocal parents are the parents who fear not being in an honors class, but know that there are other parents, and I shared the data with the CTC committee. We had at least 5% of the parents that said your PSAT 8-9 scores are too low. They should be higher in order to get into an honors class. I have students and teachers who've stopped me and said, I see what you're doing at the board meeting. Please do not let students into the honors classes if they're not prepared because the pressure is too high. And so the CTC committee has been bombarded with data over the number of A's that we have in 8th grade, the distribution of our PSAT 8-9 scores, the number of children at the middle school who do get a C+, all of these scores, and we do feel that we've made the best decision possible. So we took the rubrics that were posted last time, we collected all of the input, and we have slight changes based on that. So regarding the C+ in particular, the criteria states that students can't have more than one C+ in 8th grade. please know that the percentage of C pluses by the quarter are very, very low. And as this parent, I'm sorry that I forgot what you said. I didn't write it down, your name. Forgive me for that. But what this parent said, if a student has a C plus in the middle school, the pressure in an honors class will be extreme. And that's why we're trying to be very careful about how we place our students. And the CTC, we won't know the actual number of students who are placed until May 1st. Grades are due April 30th. I have to place students May 1st. I have obligations to the school district, to the schedules, and to rehire teachers. So I do have to do that moving forward. But I think that what I sent all the CTC committee and the board has in front of them is the best solution to all of the conflicting information.
Yeah, I think her question is regarding to the students who's already in honor class.
Yeah.
So like those, for example, the geometry honor students in 8th grade.
Right,
If they
no.
score 2 C+, if they had 2 C+, they can still go
That's
to.
right. Once you're
as
in
long
an
as-
honors class, you need to maintain a B- average for the
right?
year.
That's what she's asking, yeah.
Sorry.
That should be simple answer.
And just, once we change that to 2 C+ in 2 marking period, you will never able to make the A-. If you, yeah.
Yes, okay. Any other first-timers? Yes.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Paulimi. I live in 3 Hay Street, Edison. I have only one concern about the science benchmark, that we came to know that the kids take only 5 questions, and if one question goes wrong, as the other parent said, the marking period, the number goes to 77. So already 2 benchmarks are done. After that, we came to know about the criteria and all those things. So we cannot move back to time. So as per the criteria, we need an A-. So how is it possible? If the kid, suppose if the kid gets 200s also for the second and the third marking period, benchmarks, is it possible for the kid to go into an A-? So please consider that. Think about it. If you are getting making it an average of 3 benchmarks, one went wrong for the first marking period, the kid got 77, and the second 2 is if the total is 277, if you make an average of it, I don't think so. It makes an A- and not an A. So please consider this criteria before anything can be done. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you look at this has been changed to A-. Change it back to A-. Now, yeah.
You can't make it.
So,
Yes.
and also we have been told that the benchmark test is partially credited. As we were told by the administrators that it's been partially credited. So even if you get one question wrong, you might still get some partial credit. So it's not necessarily you're going to get a 77 out of that.
So how about the first benchmark? Is already done. We already have the marks.
Can you speak?
The first benchmark was done at the end of first marking period. So we have already the marks of that first benchmark in our parent portal. But the second benchmark was done at the end of the second marking period, and the third marking period ended today. We don't know the marks. So how is it going to affect? How is it working? How will it work?
No, I'm just saying, if you have like 5 questions for the benchmark 2, so even if you get 1 wrong, you're not necessary to get 80. You could still get like 85 or 90.
So is the first marking period they are going to regrade it?
No, I was just being told that that's how it's graded. That partial credit can be given. I don't know yet.
Then
did your child get? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Did your child get 1 wrong and they got a 77?
Yes.
Well, was it completely wrong?
We have no idea because we cannot see the papers.
The paper was
The
never
paper is
given
not
back.
available to us. So we have no idea what's going on.
No, one at a time.
We have no idea what the kid do. Is it partially wrong? Is it fully wrong? We have no clue about it.
Yeah, we have also asked that, I don't know why, Deborah, can benchmark tests being given back to the students?
No.
They can't?
But can
Because-
it be made like out of, for science, especially science, we have 4 criteria. Is it possible to make 2 criteria to have for science honors? If the kid has made into science benchmark, it's fine. If the kid doesn't make to science benchmark as an A, other PSAT marks are there for math and honors, for PSAT English and PSAT math. Is it possible? Like, I'm just suggesting. Is it possible that in that criteria, out of 3 for science, can we do 2 for science as in other subjects? So please consider.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
Good evening. My name is Pradeep Samanta, 66 Kelly Drive. I think, again, I came here for this placement criteria. This is my 3rd meeting. I'm also coming. But I think by attending these 3 meetings, one thing very clear, that it's a lot of pressure to the kids. And I can imagine that I think it's not that addition. I think Ms. Beth already mentioned that we have a bright kids, a lot of bright kids. You know, Odisha Minds, we're getting prize and all, a lot of things happening. But at the same time, every year, of course, the students is increasing. You know that we have a reality that multi-unit house happening, overcrowded, lot of good students. Same time, we are increasing the criteria tougher and tougher every year. 90%, 95%. I don't know where the destination will be. 100% next year. This is getting too much pressure to the kids. My kids, science have 100%. Benchmark have a 90% above, but still we are uncertain. He is even feeling, he go to the school, every day is coming, he's uncertain. He's panic to his body. I think something board or superintendent or the CTC committee to look into this matter. This is really going very crazy. We have a good kids, and everybody know that. The board knows, every member knows, and increasing. We know the reality of overcrowding. But what is the solution? We can just say tighter the next year, tougher the criteria, make 95%, make 99%. Is this the solution? Then we are failed. Board is failed, CTC failed, everybody failed here. We are giving pressure, our fail, we are passing to our kids and saying, okay, you know, you are not good enough. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Yes.
I just want to answer part of that. You know, we are guaranteed basically by the administrators and supervisors, and that the rubric is going to basically guarantee the same percentage, basically the same percent. I mean, it could vary a little bit, percent of the students going to the leveled classes. So we're now trying to make this harder or, you know, more difficult for the student. That's definitely not our goal. And just also to answer the questions from the other gentleman earlier, we do make pathways from the regular classes to the honor classes. That has existed before, and we added some more paths, like from biology level 1 students, you can still go to chemistry honor in 10th grade if you gain A minus, you know, in your grades. So we're still we're providing, and so is math students. If you are scoring A minus and above, and some other SAT scores above some threshold, you can still move up. So we are trying to open up more pathways for the students. We're trying to tell them, even if you fail one subject 1 year, you can still, as long as you work hard, you can still move up to the next level. You know, the door is open. We're not closing the door for them. That's what we're trying to do.
Okay, thank you. Just kind of, yeah. Any other first timers? Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, hi, I'm Radha Ekbore, 114 Calvert Avenue East, Edison. So first of all, I just wanted to clarify. So I know you have a new criteria change. When will you post it on the website?
After the vote on Monday.
So the parents won't get to see it before that?
I believe so,
think
I think we can, I think we can, like, we posted,
Post it,
the
okay.
draft, the
Proposed.
draft
We can
is online
propose.
already, the first
Yeah.
draft
Our
was
first
online.
draft is online, so.
Yeah, so we could possibly post it.
So maybe before the meeting, hopefully you can post it so we can take a look at whatever changes have been made.
Yep.
Again, I thank you all board members and administration, especially Shannon, for working on this criteria. There have been a number of versions, and one key point I wanted to come across was consistency. So all the versions, there's some things a little bit different, scores, and it's hard to understand what's the rationale behind all these changes. Every version has a little bit something different. Is there any rationale, any data behind this analysis, why each little scores are being changed here and there? It's just important to know because we're subjecting our kids to this, of course. So each version has a little bit different, but it would be helpful for us to understand where these differences or where these changes are coming from. For example, one of the ones I noticed from 8th to 9th grade, they had said something 2 out of 3 criteria, but for 5th to 6th, it said you have to have 3 out of 3 criteria. Just a matter of being consistent across the board. I think it would help everyone. And the other thing, as was mentioned by another parent, when we're working in the real world every single day, are we really on top of our jobs every single day? When they are taking a prognostic test and it's only one time, and you're counting it the same as a year worth of grades. There's a big difference, one day versus a whole year where you can show growth versus one score. I think you need to take into consideration the differences as far as one day versus an average grade. So hopefully you can let us know when you'll post the new criteria.
Thank you. Any other first timers? There you go.
Brett Baker again, 140 Grandview Avenue. First, Carol, you beat me to it, but when I saw Nurse Appreciation Day on there, I jumped for joy because it was a mere 48 weeks ago I stood here and said, how did we forget this at the May meeting? And by golly, y'all remembered. So I just wanted to say thank you. I can say thank you. Two, a thank you to Dan. Just hearing this bus issue is just another reminder of how really great Dan is. I think just what folks don't hear when Dan mentions wanting to join the Union County Transportation Cooperative is the research that takes to, one, find the Union County Transportation Cooperative, two, realize the Union County Transportation Cooperative is the best option to solve the issues that the other 3 transportation cooperatives were a part of, don't work. So as a fellow school administrator, I know the work that goes into that, and thank you for taking those moves to make that happen. I got to hear about this National Purchasing Cooperative because I've got some events that need to be fixed too. I want to, about this placement criteria, I just want to I want to implore upon us all to I'm growing weary of this conversation of creating pressure cooker environments from this side towards this side when really this room and at Edison JP last month is creating it. I was in honors classes, I was in AP classes. I was in neither of those classes, and I stand here on 2 feet, employed, I did fine, I was in the arts, I participated, I'm a tax-paying citizen now, the world continues turning, and I just, the what if is what causes, I think, students to feel stressed, and I say this as an educator of 10 years, because the same argument could apply. We could solve this placement criteria, and then I could stand in front of you all and say, are we going to change our tardy policy? What if my clock didn't go off? It's unfair to the child if my clock didn't go off. So I don't mean to be flippant about it, but I really want to implore all of us, because the points being made are valid, but to really focus on the structure of the argument is, what does it take to get to an A-? What does an A- continue to mean, and so on and so forth? Because I really find it hard to believe that a board full of individuals who have children in the district and employees of the district really aren't thinking about these things. And so I just want to implore us to stop publicly saying that the Board of Education and the district are creating a pressure cooker environment, because I don't think you are. And as one parent to other parents, I would just ask us to consider the example we're setting, because again, I do think that, you know, we can set the example. I failed a class growing up, and my mother said, too bad, and I dropped out of the track. And I went to college, and my mother said, if you don't carry a 3.9, then you've got to foot part of the bill. And nowhere did my parents say, well, why won't this shift, and why can't this shift to adjust for the fact that Brett did poorly on an assessment or anything like that. And so, you know, I haven't read the updated policy yet. I look forward to reading it. If I have a problem with it, I will share it. But just want to encourage this entire group to think about what we're messaging to students when we talk about something or other creating a pressure cooker environment, to really look in the mirror to make sure that we're not doing that. I'm running close to time and it is late, and so I will just say that on Monday I look forward to listing the names of the zoning board members, and I will not do it tonight. Thank you.
By the way, that is pressure when you don't have a certain GPA and you have to pay for your college tuition. That would be pressure to me.
That's definitely pressure.
Hey, Brett, I just want to say thank you for that. And you made me think back. I went to the same high school that my father taught in. And you want to talk about being in a pressure cooker. When your dad is checking on you and sees your grades before any other kid in the building. You know, I got a C+ in algebra, the first marking period of my freshman year. And he came home. Nobody else had their report card yet. He says, Beth, you know, you get a C+ in algebra, you're not going to college. And like, Dad, you know, I'm doing the best I can. But it was really very frightening, you know, to live in that kind of environment. And also I want to mention, there was a great article in the Star Ledger last week written by 3 prominent people in education, all of whom agreed that going to the Ivies and the top-notch schools are not necessarily the answer to success in life. And finally, we have had a former student come before this board many times this year, and in a recent conversation with that person, he or she said to me, you know, I never took an honors or AP class in my life in high school, and look at where I am now. So there you go. Thanks, Brett.
Yeah.
Prashant Joshi for Utica Road. Sorry, I'm coming second time because I asked to miss one question. And I think Shannon just repeated that comment. So I just want to ask is that it says that there are some set number of percentage is there for each level. Can you please explain what does that mean? Does that mean that there are certain percent of the kids should be in honors versus certain should be in, is that what we are, what is it? I'm still didn't get what that means, because that comment I heard twice so far.
What I meant is just, you know, of course, the board doesn't have, you know, a real number, and I'm not sure even if we have, we could share it, but I'm just giving you a hypothetical example that, for example, if we have like 50% of students going into biology or math honor classes last year, the board and the CTC, the goal of the board and of the CTC is to trying to keep that number almost the same. I mean, we don't expect it to be changed dramatically, not higher, definitely not lower.
Yeah, but that's
what we're trying to achieve.
Okay. That looks a little bit different, right? Because the number of kids come up, the number can, it's depend upon every class. Every class is different. On a law of averages, you can apply it. But as we are saying is that number of students are coming up, it's overcrowded. So I don't think just looking at that number is a fair criteria. We need to look at what a kid is capable of it, right? And the whole class is capable of it. So I'm a little bit surprised that somebody says there's some number. I'm having said so, again, this is not about us versus him, but the point is we are having this conversation, right? And we are saying this is more like more difficult than writing the Constitution of United States. That's what our administrator has said. So that indicates there is a basic problem here, right? Just accept that. Everybody, we should accept it, that there is a basic problem because we are discussing all this thing, right? So we have to accept first, and then we can move on. If we always in the deny mode, we cannot move on, right? So it doesn't matter when 10 years back what I was doing in a school. I know what kind of school kid I was, and I'm doing very good. Doesn't mean that everybody will do it. That's not the question over here. Accept that we're discussing every now and then, and this is the problem. So once we accept it, then only we resolve it. If you are guys in denial mode, this will not happen. Yes, parents are sometimes extreme. We cannot make happy everybody, That's given. Nobody can do it. Even workplace also, somebody gets more bonus, somebody gets lower. There's everybody happy, but accept it. So I will request that before pointing figures that this has to be simplified. We cannot have such a complicated. Means I have to write a freaking program now to figure it out who is going where, and that's why the parameters keeps on changing, right? And second thing I requested, if not this, I know that we have to have some standardized test for PSAT 8 and 9. Again, I'm bringing it up because I was the first one to come to this board and saying this is a fault. You guys missed it, right? Accept that, but at least next year, make it easy for parents if you are going to do the PSAT 8 and 9. Because December is not a right time to conduct PSAT 8 and 9. Yes, whatever happens, we cannot change it, I get it, but at least accept that what happened is not good, otherwise we would not have this conversation. So next year, none of my kids will be there because my kid is going to high school now, but at least those who are in 8 and coming to, make it better for them. Do not consider PSAT to conduct in October or December this year, first week of December. Conduct in later, something on March and April, if you are going to do it. If you are going to change standardized tests, think about it, because you voted for it, and now we are seeing the repercussion of that. So please think about it. That's a request. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Yeah.
Subodh Sharma, 63 Karen Place. So Shannon, I think he brought the thing you mentioned about the percentage, right?
Poor Shannon, she's really getting it.
Sorry?
Go ahead.
Okay, now, so you brought about the...
It's all right, carry on.
So,
I thought I was
about the percentage, right? So I agree with you, and I appreciate really the changes that you have recommended and everything. For percentage, we cannot put, if the kids are doing better, I'm hoping like in this batch, right? Kids are getting better and better, right? But if we keep on having the same percentage of students on honors and deciding on based on the factors that were not in control of the kids, and you're deciding those criteria after the fact, not before the fact. You're deciding the criteria. Now these many kids I have got, we will be able to will these be able to meet the criteria or not, right? So looking at the numbers after and not giving them before is a problem. I think, as Prashant mentioned, we should accept that what happened this year with the kids for this batch who are going from 8th to 9th is not fair. And if you guys don't accept it, then that's a basic fundamental difference. Our kids are not going to come into this grade again. They're not going to get this opportunity. Everybody, you can say comments like, it's like it doesn't make difference in the life, and if you get honors or not, it will make a lot of difference if they get. And knowing as a parent that there was so much issues, like we didn't get the clarity of it, it doesn't, it bothers us, okay? It may not bother you, it may not bother everybody, because you guys have to look at a big picture, but we are looking at our kids. And I don't know about, my daughter, she loves science. She's gonna, if she's gonna miss the biology, she has not been studying biology at all, but she loves physics and chemistry. And if, suppose next year, right, you're saying, she could not somehow, biology is totally different, right, than what she's been studying so far. And if she doesn't make that grade, she's gonna miss on physics and chemistry. because that's.
No, that's not necessarily true. The biology, even if she goes to biology level 1, if she score A minus and above, she can still move to chemistry honor.
But what point I'm trying to make, that biology and physics chemistry are two different things. She might not do well in biology, but she has a good aptitude for physics and chemistry, and she can miss it. So I'm saying there must be some other criteria, like other standardized tests that she can go to, because biology and physics chemistry are entirely different. In even our, like where we studied, I didn't had biology in 11th and 12th grade. We were separate out basically, right? So I mean, they're totally different. And basing kids going selection to physics and chemistry based on biology would not be fair. There should be other criteria as well. If they don't make it this year, because this year you guys have to accept, this has been a debacle.
I just, I agree with you on the subject dependency thing, because like for myself, I struggle in biology, but I went to like chemistry Olympic competitions, and in college I still get a full score in my quantum mechanics. So I agree, there's not necessarily a dependency between all these subjects, but that's something to be done on the road. I hope that's what we are trying to do, but things has to be done step by step. It's not cannot be done overnight. That's what I'm saying, I guess.
I know, but I'm saying these decisions these decisions has to be made at least a year in advance. This is already too late. We're going to make a decision, and we are running against the clock because we have to fill the class by May 10th, right? But I don't know why there was a need to change the iReady when there was already no criteria in place, right? You should have a replacement criteria in place, acceptable, voted before you vote out something that is already in place. So I like there must be some lot of things wrong with the iReady, but one thing good about iReady was kids were getting the whole year to study about it. They were able to perform it, and so there might be many issues with iReady, but that was one good thing, that it was not based on one day you have a bad day and you miss out on that criteria. But
thank you.
Your time.
Thank you.
I just want to add, that's the reason that we keep going, we revise this grouping procedure, because we wanted to make sure the same percentage, as I said before, because I believe like every year students cannot just change that dramatically. You can't say this year students are all of a sudden much smarter than the previous year or worse than the previous year. So that's why the only thing we can hold on is to keep the same percentage. Because remember, initially we have the PSAT score set to 600. Now we're, after discussing about this goal of the board, we are lowering it to 560 now. So that's, otherwise we can't just, as Deborah also said, that we can't just move everybody to honor class, and that's not going to work either, right? So we got to keep some kind of standard, has to be set.
Yeah.
That's
Okay,
what
thank you. Right? Any other public comments? Okay.
Jimmy Parekh, 1601 Deerfield Drive. So as last time I said, the computer science, which is available only in 9th grade, I hope board has considered to make it available in 10th grade at least.
It is open.
Because in the last 2 weeks it was just the 9th grade. Computer science is just in the 9th grade. But so if kids has to go to the programming, he has to take the 9th grade. So if it is available in at least 10th grade, then kids have opportunity to continue in band or arts, at least in 9th grade.
It's not open on the website because the website registration is already closed, but your kids can talk to the counselor and still sign up for that course.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Sorry, I just have one question, very quick. Sorry, Deborah. There were 2 procedures posted on last time. Will both be up? gonna be the same situation that both be applicable for this batch?
Huh? Yes.
Okay, all right, sorry.
You have more questions?
So in response to some of the things that we've heard, and in further explanation of what Mrs. Peng has explained, is we posted grouping procedures in February, and in order to be open and transparent and to take the input of everyone involved, we've continued to go back and revise, and we think we have something really strong right now that reflects both concerns and transparency, and our desire to put students who are qualified in. It's been the board's goal to make sure that we open access to honors classes, and right now we started that at the middle school level, and there are double the number of students taking honors level math courses than when I arrived. So that's double. So I'm not sure we need to double it again going into 9th grade when we're doing that. It also, we're trying to make sure that you have the full information. So posted, we'll post them tomorrow morning, and they were posted in the draft, our 2019-20 criteria, which will look a lot like what we posted in February with adjustments to the scores so that we capture more of the students that we wanted to capture who are ready. And in addition, through the work of the CTC, we've posted placement criteria, which do not have to be voted on again, so that once they vote on them on Monday, that's it. They stay there. You'll know that that's what they are. And they do include the PSAT 8-9, which we've already contracted for next year as well. So all of that is in there, and the placement criteria is in there, and that'll be the board's decision if they want to make that stick. But that is in response to the fact that people want to know now what counts next year. So we can't keep talking about it, and there's really good, reliable data coming out of this exam. Okay, Ms. Peng, should I add anything?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That ends the questions.
All right, so let's see, no more public comments. Let's go to the closed session because we need to finish up the stuff we didn't finish. So, and yeah, we'll. Dan has to read it.
Whereas Section 8 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Laws of 1975 permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting in certain circumstances, and whereas this public body is of the opinion that such circumstances presently exist, therefore be resolved.
Excuse me, the meeting's still ongoing, please. The meeting's still ongoing.
Therefore be resolved by the Board of Education of Township of Edison as follows. 1, this public shall be excluded from discussion of and action upon the herein specified subject matters. 2, to the general nature of the subject matter to be discussed as follows. We finished the legal report, so we're going to go into personnel. And under personnel, we're going to be discussing resignations, terminations, retirements, appointments, leaves of absences, changes of status, longevity, substitute staff, avid tutors, extended school year, summer school, coaching appointments, co-curricular appointments, and job descriptions. 3, it is anticipated this time that the above stated subject matter shall be made public at such time as the need for non-disclosure no longer exists, and 4, this resolution shall take effect immediately.
All right, can I have a motion? Okay. Mrs. Ward, Mr. Brescia.
Dr. Chen?
Yes.
Mrs. Conway?
Yes.
Mrs. Patel?
Yes.
Mr. Brescher?
Yes.
Mrs. Peng?
Yes.
Mrs. Maroney?
Yes.
Mrs. Ward?
Yes.
Mr. Errico?
Yes.
Mr. Shi?
Yes.
All yes.
So we do not expect to come back in the open session, so we'll see you guys on Monday. Thank you.